Powered by Riverside FM.
On this episode of Bullet Time, we take on the G3 Cartel with a talking gun in Squanch Games' 2022 shooter, High on Life. Let me start with, hi folks, welcome to Bullet Time, the video game podcast that analyzes the shooters that missed their marks. This has been a bit of a while coming, because we've been talking about doing this for, well, the genesis for this goes even back longer than 2024, funnily enough, but no, we've all played this game, and then due to some scheduling and some technical difficulties and the like, it kept moving forward and then backwards and stuff like that, but no, we're finally getting around to talking about it. But I feel like with every kind of week that I put this off, sort of the pressure mounted around it a little bit in regards to tackling certain elephants in the room. But you know, we're just gonna have to face it like head on a little bit. But before we even do that, first I'm gonna introduce folks to who's on call at the moment. The Rick Sanchez of video game literature, Kevin from Pixellit.
Thank you. I'm a Morty. I'm a podcaster. Morty.
Oh, Kevin, I didn't realize that they had hired you to replace to be the new VO on the new seasons of Rick and Morty.
I'm podcaster Rick.
Oh, jeez, Rick.
Jeez, podcasting. Oh, God.
That must have been like the easiest job in the world of just like, shit, we need to replace him, but like, who are we going to get? Oh, turns out there's 10,000 men in America that all have their own Rick and Morty impressions.
Yeah. I watched the new season, and like after a few episodes, I'm like, yeah, they're pretty much it.
Yeah, no, they're pretty close. Not too bad, but
every cis man can do like Rick and Kermit the Frog.
It's like, do we all want to quickly do like Kermit the Frogs before?
Kermit the Frog here with Rick Sanchez. Kermit. we're on a podcast, Kermit. Hello there, Rick D. Sanchez.
Wyatt, your nose.
Kermit the Frog here. I can't do Rick though. I feel like my Kermit's used
That's
to be better.
That's not about Kermit.
Thank
the problem is that when my Kermit the Frog very much goes over into a clinical psychologist, Jordan P. Peterson, which
is like not far from Prince Pratt either.
No, that's true. I think that was partially where the Pratt voice came out of just I enjoy doing the voice so much that I was like, could I engineer a podcast where I just get to do this voice every week and see if I can't polish it off a little bit. My Morty isn't very good though. It's a bit like he's got a little bit of almost has a bit like Mr. Krabs, which isn't good. God. Joining us on the mic, a name that you were a voice that hopefully you recognize by now from a couple of fabulous weeks of Coyote Time is video maker WyattJoseph. Hello.
Hello.
How you? Well, I've already asked how you were doing earlier on in the podcast, but I guess
and he said terrible.
Oh, so
you
did
terrible.
Yeah, you said you were doing really badly. Yeah, so no, I'm gonna skip that as quickly as possible. Wyatt, people will have.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Good. But I was going to say, people should hopefully know you by now from a couple of prototype episodes that we've done of Coyote Time, a sister podcast of sorts to Bullet Time, where we look at platformers. But if you want to explain a little bit more about who you are and folks what they can check out of yours.
Yeah, I make video essays on YouTube, generally about video games, film, and television, under WyattJoseph. And yeah, I've been on a few podcasts with James now, and
there we go. So we're joining forces here. We're bringing Bullet Time and Coyote Time a little bit together, but very much just focusing on a Bullet Time game of all. We're currently watching Kevin roll over and fix something at the moment, but that's fine.
My dog was...
There's some platforming in High on Life.
My dog was scratching at the door to get into my office.
I see.
But by the time I rolled over to the door, he had given up and returned from whence he came. Which
That's fair enough. I think it's because the dog knows what we're about to talk about today, which is 2022's High on Life. Now, Wyatt, this is a bit of a poison pill because you became our choice for this episode mostly based on the fact that we offered a couple of people if they wanted to come on for High on Life, and at every point people were avoiding it, and we wanted to get you on Bullet Time. But also, when we talked to you about it, and you went, "Oh, this is actually a game that I have experience with," that basically you kind of signed your own death certificate doing so. But
yep.
I guess with that, why don't you explain to the folks at home, hey, you played High on Life. You didn't have to do so you did so for your own accord before Bullet Time. What got you into it? I guess partially was you were a fan of Rick and Morty of some sort, I guess.
Unfortunately, yes. I mean, yeah, I really... So, I mean, I can't remember, but I think I was a teenager when Rick and Morty came out. So, in high school, I was really into it for the first couple of seasons.
Yeah.
I fell off of it after... I don't know what season they're on now. 6 now? I think I probably fell off.
I think they're on 7.
Oh, my God, yeah. I have not seen the latest one, but I fell off it probably season 3 because, I don't know, I got older and kind of was sick of this edgy shtick. And then I got back into it, kind of pushing through the weeds and seeing the merits that are there. But so going into High on Life, I was like a liker of Rick and Morty. It wasn't, it had some merits, but I did not think it looked very good, High on Life. I was very skeptical because at this point I was pretty skeptical of Justin Roiland's whole shtick. This was before
obviously
everything, but still, the thing is especially in the promotional material surrounding the game, it kind of seems like he's leaning into his the two voices he can do, his two jokes. And so I didn't finish it.
Okay.
When I think it was on. Did it come out? Did it? Launch
I believe.
On Game Pass?
Yeah, I believe this was a day and date on Game Pass because this was published by Microsoft.
Yeah. So I guess I played it when it came out, but I did not beat it. I fell off it pretty quickly, and then I revisited it for this podcast.
Okay. Kevin, I imagine Rick and Morty probably just wasn't as kind of after your time, really, in regards to adult animation. It's not King of the Hill or The Simpsons. Not even probably
Yeah, I've basically seen I've seen literally every episode of Rick and Morty.
Oh wow!
But yeah, I didn't start watching it until much later, to be honest, and then we just kind of binged through the whole thing. It's one of those shows where when it hits outside of the dumb shit, right? The edgy for edge sake stuff.
Yeah.
It starts to work on a really good level, but it sometimes it can be really tough to find your way through that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it gets a little up its own ass in terms of telling too much of a meta narrative.
Yeah.
And literally meta in terms of talking about meta, how meta fiction and meta narrative works, right on the nose. And it's not that clever, guys, to talk about story structure in your story.
which is funny considering some of the times in this game. I'll be honest, I've only seen one episode of Rick and Morty, and it was a very early one. It was I think it was a Christmas episode, and they went inside a homeless man's body, and he had turned it into a theme park or something. And I remember thinking at the time, okay, it's almost kind of feels like a sort of a stop back between maybe Futurama and American Dad, where sort of the latter maybe more so because they're kind of aiming for that sort of sci-fi is there, but it's used in a really kind of odd and funny way. But then I was starting to quickly pick up on like, okay, there's a few like you're doing the same few jokes here and there, and then from what I had heard after the fact, it was like, oh, this is sort of the only trick that this show has until. And I felt like this was maybe a kind of more of a recent thing, but people were sharing a lot of clips of like new Rick and Morty once they had kind of revitalized the creative team a little bit behind it. And the stuff that I'd seen there was like, oh, this is like good American Dad. I can kind of get behind this.
So starting with season, like halfway through season 3, as far as I know, and possibly even earlier, Justin Roiland is no longer involved in the creative process at all. He is literally just doing the voices of Rick and Morty. Beyond season 1, he's barely doing anything. He had only written a couple of episodes. He wrote like the pilot and then one of the ones at the end of the first season or something like that. That's it.
He's playing with an RC car.
too busy playing with a Sam Bankman-Frieding his way through having a TV show, basically.
Oh god, like drawing dicks on the whiteboard. Like,
yeah, and you'll notice actually over time as the seasons progress, there actually become more women writers as like, on the credits of these episodes, starting in season 3 and after that. It's like the tone of the show. It has the I'm a penis now Morty jokes.
right.
And funny enough, the thing about the Pickle Rick episode, which a lot of people kind of it became its own meme.
Yeah.
The idea is that like it's just a spin on the men will do X before going to therapy thing. That's literally all the episode is Rick turns himself into a pickle before deciding to go to therapy. And in the end, he goes to therapy and the therapist is like, you're kind of a piece of shit. So,
very much on that kind of like BoJack Horseman grind of kind of like 80% of the show is more just kind of about like, oh, geez, I'm a terrible person, but the fact that I recognize that means that I must be a good person, right? And
right.
People going back and forth. And then the other 20% being, oh, that guy's an actual bird. Oh, fucking hell, that kind of thing. Hey, sorry for anyone at home who likes BoJack Horseman. That's my review after watching the entire of season 1 of it. Maybe they changed it. Maybe they're not animals anymore. I don't know. But
it gets better.
Okay, fair enough. I'll take your word for it, Wyatt. But it is funny because you're like, from season 3 onwards, it's like he barely has any kind of involvement in it. And so it becomes a kind of a thing of, okay, well, if he wasn't doing that, what was he working on? Well, it turns out the game that we're talking about today, High on Life, is mostly where he was putting a lot of his creative juices into. Now, I suppose while we're right at the beginning of the episode and we have evoked his name a couple of times, it is very difficult to talk about this game without also having to talk about the creative genius behind it, Justin Roiland, who obviously as of recently has quite a lot of news has come out of him of particular things that he has done and people that he has hurt. And I would like to say that any like positivity that we'll probably say about this game, we don't want that to come across as like we're trying to, you know, like whitewash over like the actions that he has done. At the end of the day, like the funny thing with Bullet Time is that like all of these games are in the specter of, well, why did they miss their marks? Like, what was the thing that held them back? This game has a lot of Bullet Time-isms in regards to, even if Roiland wasn't involved in it, there's things that hold it back. But his name being associated with this game and him being so ingrained in this project is like the biggest black mark against it. And like the funniest thing is that with the DLC and everything that they've done since, they have like tried to eradicate as much of him out of the project, but like his just creative DNA is like, to remove that would mean making an entirely new project with like High on Life. So now that I've said all that, God, this is such an awkward episode because don't particularly like Roiland and don't particularly like his style of comedy, but I had a very good time with High on Life.
I think that's the thing is that like it's you look at this game and who made it, and it's like, all right, well, Justin Roiland is the dude, but all right, who's the dude behind the dude, or dudettes?
Yes.
Like who's back there? And you find out that this game is like an absolute cavalcade of stars, in terms of just video game people who know what they're doing. Maybe not stars, but just like, oh, that's a big list of competent personnel that actually made this game.
So the way that I described it to you was like, it's like a Mr. Beast Ghost Kitchen, but it's, Wolfgang Puck and Gordon Ramsay are behind the scenes, like cooking. Maybe not to that high of a level, but like they are, they would be like Gordon Ramsay sous chefs in regards to one of the senior gameplay designer of this, Andy Kibler. When he was at DigiPen, he created Nitronic Rush, which I don't know if either of you know about this, but it was you could turn into a plane, and it was kind of looked like Tron. It got remade a couple of years later by a different team, but his name was still on the project. But after that, because basically DigiPen was really big after the Portal games, they had pulled those guys from DigiPen, so every developer was like, oh, we need to get DigiPen students on stuff. This guy then went to go work on Project Spark, which was Microsoft's big kind of creative toolkit game. Then he went to work at Rockstar on GTA 5 and Red Dead. And then eventually, because Roiland is the crown prince of animation at this point in regards to Rick and Morty is what's it called? Adult Swim's most successful cartoon. And not only that, but it was something that they owned the IP of.
Right.
He basically they just said, hey, whatever you want to do next, we'll bankroll it. And what Roiland wanted to do next essentially was, I want to get into games, which I think is a kind of I'll circle back around to this point, but basically he brings on Andy Kibler with him, and the initial projects that they are doing as Squanch Tendo, which then becomes Squanch Games, is VR projects, because I think it's very early on in the Oculus is out, and people are doing a lot of these kind of art demos to show off, hey, how good is VR with this?
It's right in that timeline where is VR gonna be the next big thing? This was 15 things ago. It was VR, and then a few things. Then we get NFTs, and now we got AI.
No, exactly. We're now in AI hell, unfortunately. The thing that I was thinking of with this, and it makes so much sense in regards to High on Life, is that you have Walt Disney in the 1930s does Steamboat Willie, and then the idea is that, animation's this brilliant art form that we can get more and more into. But then his big dream was, well, I want to bring people into the world of Disney, and the only real way that I can do that is by building the parks. He wanted to build these kind of how can I build fantasy and reality, essentially? And you do it through stage work and through rides and stuff like that. And I was thinking of this when we did the episode on Scorn, of obviously Giga is this biomechanical stuff with it. You're laughing about Scorn again, sir. You're thinking about
the Scorn Land at Disney World.
Yeah, you're thinking of the Scorn part of Disney MGM.
I'm just thinking of geek, you just walking in, and it's watch out, it's slippery in here.
Well, no, you're thinking you want to get the strawberry crush, but in order to get it, you have to squeeze the machine with the
you have to squeeze the
little guy.
Squeeze out of the little guy.
The little Eric
crush the
Cartman.
little dude.
Why have you played Scorn? Just to check if you know what these references are that we're making. Okay.
No, I played it for 2 hours and I got stuck.
Okay, yeah, no,
that's
that's
on Game Pass.
The same thing happened to me. Yeah.
By the way, you were only 90 minutes away from the end.
Yeah, no, exactly. If you were 2 hours in, yeah, you've done 2/3 of the content. No, but here's the thing, Kevin.
Well.
You are joking, but Giga, because obviously they did the films Alien and stuff, and people were like, oh god, Giga, what a cool aesthetic. But then in Switzerland, they did build Giga bars, which were there was one in Japan, which was kind of he didn't have much of a hand on that, but then they built one in Gruyere, which they converted an old French chateau into this bar, and they try to use as much as the original kind of concrete construction and stuff like that, but then put spinal cords and,
Yeah, I'm
try
looking
to
at the
put
pictures right now.
yeah.
Wow.
And it's such like a funny idea of just like you watch Alien and it's just like goo hell. And you're like, God, who would want to go there? But then you go to a Gigabar and it's just like, yeah, what apps have you got? Like,
Oh my god!
Could I get could I get 10 buffalo wings for the table, please?
They got. Yeah, hold on. I'm sharing this tab.
Okay,
hold on.
yeah, let's.
I got the La Gruyere one. Wyatt, you're not ready for this.
Okay.
Just for the folks at home, there's a wall of babies' faces that.
There's a literal. It's like a Homestar Runner reference. It's the literal wave of babies.
Wave of babies. But it's above like a TGI Friday style booth, which is really ties it together. Which. Again, well, I mean, it's funny because there's literally a joke in this game where they go to Space Applebee's, but yeah. But here's the thing: so it's like okay, well, we're not going to build the Justin Roiland theme park, and thank God that is now no longer even a potential idea that they could do. But obviously, there's a thing of like, hey, I'm an artist, and I want to bring people into sort of my creative vision, and Cruelty Squad is very much that. The guy who made that is a multimedia and visual artist, and part of that was, hey, I want, this is during COVID, I want to bring people into playable sculpture. There was a Radiohead Experience that was the same thing. Funnily enough, also built an Unreal Engine 4 like this. So you can see, like, with the VR stuff, that's like Hall of Presidents. Oh, I'm going to go shake the hand of, George Washington, but it's shaking hands with, I don't know, Bill Squanch or Doug Fucko, one of Justin Roiland's, amazing characters. But then the VR experiments start to cool down a little bit, but they go to Microsoft and they basically say, hey, we want to do something a little bit bigger and meaty. Can you help us out? And Microsoft and fucking Unreal, like, join forces on this and basically say, look, you're only an art guy and a producer. We're going to throw our heaviest hitters on this project. So you have people who are coming from Insomniac, Rockstar Games, on like Epic. Like there are people who are like shooters for the Unreal Engine working on this title. And I will say, you play this game and like maybe not quite immediately, and I guess I'll get into that a little bit, but the moment that you start to get into the alien world stuff, this is like, oh, this is really punching above its weight. And then the moment you start doing arena combat, it's like, oh, like, you literally just put a team together that could do Doom 2016, but you could just style it to any single thing you wanted.
Right.
And so it's like, this game is so bizarre in regards to, like, they basically put together, like, the world's greatest ghost kitchen to make this game, to follow this vision. But it's the visionary of, like, it's the vision of a hack.
At the end of the day, it's still a Mr. Beast burger.
Yeah, it is still. It's still Jimmy Donaldson's fucking face is looking at you while you're eating the thing, and maybe even worse because the gun in your hand just won't shut the fuck up, and it has Justin Roiland doing his. I was thinking of. I had this like stupid image in my head of just like. Do you remember like the HBO Kings of Comedy where it was?
Yeah.
The guy who, Family Feud guy, Bernie Mac and whatever.
Yeah,
but
Steve Harvey, Bernie Mac.
Steve Harvey.
Who else? Cecil the Entertainer.
Yeah, Cecil the Entertainer and stuff.
I was Cedric the Entertainer.
Cedric,
and who else was in that? I'm trying to remember. I can't recall.
Doesn't matter. But I was imagining like Justin Roiland going out and doing his Type 5, which is literally, he just goes out, says the N-word, and then for the next 4 minutes just goes, geez, why did I say that? Oh, I'm such a fucking asshole. Why did I say that? Because, geez, God, why do I even know that word in my mouth? That is every joke that comes out of the gun in this game, is that he says something near the knuckle and then just apologizes for 5 minutes. It gets fucking grating the first time he does it, and then he does it the entire game, and then it becomes a plot beat that they just keep building up of, I did something really bad, but the fact that I've explained this to you means that I must be a good guy, right? And it's like, I want to kill this gun. I want to throw it in the bin. But it's a shame because the gun that he is the pistol from Halo Combat Evolved. So it's like, oh, this is one of the best guns I've ever used in a game. Good job, Unreal Ethic guys.
That's the thing is like it's like the gun that he is which is Kenny, is the one that you end up using the most. I mean, there's multiple guns, and we get, let's see, Sweezy. Is Betsy Sodero doing a...
Oh, yeah, I thought she was Natasha Lyonne, but she's essentially... She's the Needler from Halo. Yeah. Kind of. And she, like, her special effect is, like, you can create time dilations, the slow, like, kind of time bubbles, which you use in the platforming, which is interesting. Yeah, like...
Yeah. You got Tim Robinson...
From I Think You Should Leave. He's like he shoots drones essentially, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, JB Smoove.
Oh yeah, it's the shotgun that also shoots boiling hot saws, which is cool.
And Michael Cusack is Knifey.
Who's the guy from the Aussie guy from Smiling Friends, right?
Yeah. And then the other guy, the other like main voice actor is David Herman.
Yes.
Who is the dude from Office Space who plays he plays Michael Bolton.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Why should I change my name? He's the one who sucks.
I mean, there is another guy. You do also get another gun at the end of this game, but I'll get to that because that kind of gets into the annoying Royalinisms that I have with this game. So basically, you get a very small selection of guns, but they're all like... Not only do they have identity in regards to they literally all talk, but like just using them is like really fun. Upgrading them is really fun. And the thing that's cool about them is that like they sort of have that Metroid thing of you can use them as weapons, but they also help you get around the world like quicker. You get Knifey, like, that's your first upgrade, and he's a whip that lets you use, like, hooks around the environment, and it's like, oh, this is like the grappling hook in Metroid Prime. And the first boss that you do is a Metroid Prime boss, where you have a circular arena, the acid level goes up and down, and it's like, you know, oh, this is, like, really kinetic and interesting. And as the game goes on, they, like, do more and more of that. I feel like Wyatt, like, feel free to hop in on any of this, but like, you know, what do you think of kind of like the gunplay in this?
Honestly, I think I'm a lot less hot on it than y'all. There's something about it that I don't know. I was trying to think about this. I don't know if it's like sometimes it's as simple as like, you know, like a hit marker sound effect that makes something really satisfying, but it's like there's something missing here for me where like I really like a lot of the guns, especially Gus, the one that shoots like the saw blades, is really fun. But there's something missing from it for me. Like every enemy just feels very squishy in the wrong way to me. I don't know if that makes any sense.
I think that's partially what I was saying about the fact that even if Royland wasn't involved, this couldn't, like, this is a bullet time game. Yeah. This could never be higher than an 8 out of 10 because there's just that small lax of polish. Yeah.
It's close.
And it makes me think of, like, because funnily enough, this is kind of, we're doing like it's not like a proper mini series, but a lot of the games that we've been talking about with Kevin have been like they have this sort of umbrella of the raw Game Pass games. And I think this is like a good example of that, of like something like Scorn was partially funded by Kickstarter anyway. So it was like, you know, the level of budget that was going to have was going to be that. And then Redfall had like the entire might of Microsoft behind it, and it was arcane, but just so many weird missteps on that. This was like built to be AA in budget. And we've talked about this on a couple of episodes of Bullet Time, like between Kevin and Snake and stuff like that, of just what is the difference between like a 7 out of 10 and a 10 out of 10? And like, I think a AA budget is always going to restrict you in regards to like the sound of a gun, like the feet, like just that kind of like kinetic feel of stuff.
There's like a little crunchiness that is just like missing. You know what? A lot of it to me ends up being with like sound design, where it's like not only you firing, but you being fired at, like the sound of of bullets hitting the dirt near you, just like missing you, like thunk, 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 like that kind of stuff. There's always going to be like sound is so important, and I think that's part of it. And I think the other part of it is, yes, some of these enemies, it felt weird to. It's like the guns are really cool, but sometimes they just didn't work quite as well as you'd expect them to work in the way that you are trying to kill an enemy. Like the time dilation thing, super cool in concept, almost never used it because it was like shoot the crystal, charge the crystal and shoot the crystal, and then you got the crystal and a boo. It was like, this is too many things for me.
Yeah.
I'm going back to Kenny. I'm going back to the Morty gun.
The roiling gun.
Geez,
Oh
Rick.
God! You brought me back out.
Why are you making me kill people? Yeah.
It's funny because I mostly start with Kenny as well, but it's literally just because a pistol is always going to have the most ammo in like games like this. But also just its extra attack of being able to like lob grenades that throw people into the air. Like this is one of those games that feels like a blended game in regards to they probably just like. Whoever was in the room, they were just like, okay, what's your favorite video game? What's your favorite video game? And somebody said, I like Doom 2016. I like Metroid Prime. I like, this is... And so they just stole... They basically just borrowed all these kind of like reference points for this game, like in regards... Because like when you're throwing enemies up into the air, it's very Devil May Cry. And then it becomes like, oh, this feels very Vanquish. Like, when they're in the air and when you're using certain guns, it does time dilate a tiny bit anyways, which lets you just juggle these guys. And enemy juggling in this game is like one of those things that you very rarely get to do in an FPS game, but because like it's in this and it's like, oh, this is very neat. Like,
right.
Just the act of gunplay, like I said, like I like had a really great time with just like the basic arena play of this game. I was like, oh, I'm getting a lot out of this.
Yeah. I would say that the gunplay, it takes second fiddle to me for the movement, and like the movement is great. It feels good to like be moving and sliding and hooking onto things and making you like using Gus to make platforms and like things like that. That's there's a lot of fun movement and traversal stuff in it.
There's a lot of nice little Metroidvania elements as well. Like when you get the thing I think you should leave gun, which shoots these little guys. It's basically this game's equivalent to the morph ball of you can't get into tight spaces, but these guys can, and so they're able to like open doors and new pathways. And then it just becomes a thing of, oh well, I should go back to previous levels and see what those kind of open up. Granted, it's never as anything as exciting as a Metroid where you'll like discover a new place to go. It's only like little upgrades and stuff that you can get for the gun. But it's just kind of a nice, like, it's games like this that I always kind of think sum up sort of this sort of AA era that we're in at the moment of arcane games are very much like this in regards to their wide linear where, hey, you can go off the beaten path a little bit and hey, you might find something cool, but it's not really important to the... And when I say arcane, I mean more like Dishonored, not so much like
Dishonored,
Prey, yeah. And then, like, there's been a couple of games that I played like this on Xbox Game Pass, which have this sort of similar thing, which I think is funny considering the Metroidvania genre was so huge on XBLA. And so it's like, oh, you're literally applying that framework to an FPS, which is like perennially popular. And so it's like, yeah, I can see people are just going to... Like, this is what I mean in regards to they basically brought in the Mr. Beast Burger team to make, like, a really great framework for this game. And then you can just staple whatever identity you want on top of it,
I'm pretty sure the local Mr. Beast Ghost Kitchen was a Maggiano's Italian restaurant that made... But yeah, Wyatt, what do you think about the traversal stuff, like the Metroidvania elements?
Yeah, I think this game is pretty... I think probably the thing I admire the most about it is like the level and the world design and like how you traverse it. And it's, like thinking of like these AA games, Game Pass seems to be like a great home for them. Because I think of Hi-Fi Rush mostly, like that also harkens back to like definitely like the like GameCube, like XBLA era of like, I think like there's a lot of it, like the platforming elements too, like just that kind of hybrid is not super present in modern AAA games, I guess, and I think a lot of it does come down to the budget. But I mean, Hi-Fi Rush is not really a Metroidvania, and it's also like an action game, but they both feel like otherwise games that like don't get made anymore.
Hi-Fi Rush, I think, is a good example as well, but I think it does like, and I'll try and correct myself a little bit on this as well, but like where they're kind of games where it's very plug and play in regards to, well, this bit's going to be a bit like DMC, and then this bit's going to be a bit like a platforming game and stuff like that, which Hi-Fi Rush is very much that. But then the identity of the game is the thing that, raises it up, where you have like really good kind of cel-shaded visuals, and then obviously the gimmick of the game itself, which is it's like Crypt of the Necrodancer. It's all built around keeping a consistent rhythm. I think obviously with something like Hi-Fi Rush, like it is very much working within its budget of, we know we can do these few things very well, and then like raise it up in the other departments, but it has a level of polish to it that like something like High on Life doesn't quite pull off, I suppose.
That's true. Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. I think one of the things that is what we were talking about with the Metroidvania-ness of it is that it's a Metroidvania in that you get enabled to go back and somewhat encouraged to go back and re-investigate areas that you previously could not go through. But the reward for doing so is not a new area necessarily. And I think that's the kind of the distinction that Metroidvania is when you backtrack and you re-engage with a previous path and you're able to unlock doors or new pathways. One of the things that works for Metroidvanias is that you go through it, and usually it's ultimately necessary to finishing the game. And you find something neat at the end. You might have a boss fight or whatever. And in this, it's kind of like, oh, you found more of these living chest thingies.
Yeah, you found ammo.
You found ammo. You found some more money. Cool.
yeah, like 100% completion in this game isn't something like a Super Metroid where it's like, oh, now you go back through Brinstar, but because you can do this, you now go to like the aggressive zone. It's like, cool. No, in this, like 100% is literally just finding all the chests which just give you more money or more ammo, and more money can be spent on just upgrading your guns, which in a game like this isn't like massively important, I don't think, because there are like a couple of gates in regards to the boss fights which are challenging, but for the most part, if you're just like, if you've got into the rhythm of combat, you're kind of okay, which is kind of the thing with the upgrades, is that as Metroid-style utility tools to open back paths, not very good. But in regards to just giving you more to do during combat, yeah, pretty fun. Like I think I was messaging you about this, Kevin, that I was on a boss fight where it was literally a closed room arena, but with every wave as it went on, it introduced basically it raised the challenge in one aspect, but then gave me something else to use. So, for example, it would give me hooks to swing from. Then it would give me magnetic panels that I could stand on, and then stuff. Yeah. And so it's like, oh, this is like this game in miniature of just like.
Yeah, I think that was like the fake boss fight. So you meet and I actually, this is one of the few. There's like 2 times where I laughed out loud.
Yeah, that was one of them for me.
This is the second of which is where you find the boss, and he's like standing on a stool in a room trying to get something off a shelf, and you startle him and he falls and he just fucking dies.
He just cracks his head and dies.
The health bar comes up and then drains all the way down because he cracks his head open on the floor. I was like, ha! And then you fall through a trapdoor, and instead of fighting a boss, you have to do basically an enemy rush, just wave after wave of like regular enemies, but it's a shit ton of them. Yeah.
And it's funny because there's a boss fight that's like that earlier on, which is like another, like the only other thing that I thought I quite liked about like in the writing of this game was he's called like Douglas, and he's like a guy, he's like almost like a space marine guy, and you never see his face, but he's just like, come on maggots, go through the obstacle course, and then like you do like kind of an arena fight with that, which because it's a bit more open, it's a bit like, yeah, and I haven't got like all my toys to play with yet, so it's not quite
Right.
there. But I just use the thing with that of, as you're going through the levels to get to Douglas, you occasionally like meet this little octopus guy called Dr. Jalopy, who's just like, oh, I need to go help my wife and child.
My kids, my
Yeah.
wife.
And you have to do like these really stupid pipe dream to get into there. And like in my head, I was like, oh, this is Royland, so obviously the stick will be that, oh, he'll get there and then he'll like explode in a really disgusting way or whatever. No, you get to Douglas, and it turns out that Dr. Jalopy was Douglas all along, and he basically said, I got drunk and I've lost my keys, so thanks for letting me back in. And I was like, okay, I like that. That's a funny twist. I can get behind that.
That's a good bit. That's a good bit right there. I'll take that bit.
I was gonna say, because like I feel like kind of combat wise, we sort of like the actual gameplay itself, and I mean it's always a difficult thing with bullet time, is like how do you sum that sort of stuff out? Like there's hubs, like there's kind of like little hub areas in this game that you walk around. I mean, I think that kind of feeds into another thing that is like impressive about this game, is that like, again, it has the entire might of the Unreal Engine team behind it, and so not so much the right at the beginning of the game, but when you go to the first like alien city hub, it's like, oh, this is pretty neat. Like this is like,
Yeah.
very Henson-y is kind of what it made me think of. Like not so much like Muppets, but like when they used to do production design on like other films of
Right.
There's like a lot of guys around here, and they all have alien bodies, but it's all very kind of puppety movement. Like,
Yeah.
very cool.
I think there's something to be said where the game offers what looks to be a much larger world on first glance. It isn't. It's not. No. It is literally it is theme park-y. If you've ever been to like the Star Wars land in Disney or any other like theme park type land that is designed to seem like you're in a space, you're in an area that is much larger than what it actually is. That's what High on Life is. It's like, it's just going from ride to ride, and battle arena to battle arena, but it's at the same time is able to pull off the trick of seeming like there's more behind the things that you can't see, even though what's behind the thing that you can't see is just like, you know, a 2x4 frame holding the wall up.
Yeah. Very like painted, you know, like, you know, matte backgrounds.
It's like matte paintings off in the background.
Yeah. No, that's why I mentioned the whole theme park thing earlier on, because it was like, that was like sort of what clicked for me in regards to, they wanted to build like a world that you could like, and they couldn't make it that particularly massively because they only had so much budget to make it work, but they do all the tricks that they can to make this world feel a lot bigger than it does, whether it is in the sort of design of it or even in the lore or the writing. It's, yeah, definitely interesting. I mean, what's your sort of thoughts on like the world of High on Life?
Yeah, no, I think the theme park analogy is great because it's like it works as long as you don't, I don't know, harass the performers too much, you know, start poking at the artifice too much. And then it starts to reveal itself. No, I think that's really interesting, and it kind of segues into, you know, I definitely wanted to talk about I mean, this is most of the game, but like, you know, the humor of the game is, I have very mixed feelings on, and it's interesting. But like the thing, I'm trying to think of another example of something that actually I think is like a funny bit. But the bit of like the guy falling down and dying is a great example. But for the most part, like this game reminds me a lot of like, I don't think AAA games try to be funny.
No.
In a like too much. But it reminds me of like 10, 15 years ago when that was a lot more common. Like I think like Borderlands, Portal. Yeah. I was thinking a lot of those games. And there are elements of that I really liked. And it borders on grating a lot, but I'll be honest, like I like the Justin Roiland shtick.
Sure.
When it comes to things like, I don't know, when he just says like Plumbus, I'm like, yeah, Plumbus. Like I'm okay with that. Like it gets grating when that's the only bit, but I'm like, nonsense words like work with me, you know, I get it. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I was gonna say there is a second joke in this game other than him just like saying the N-word and then apologizing. It's like they'll say something like, like butt bottle. But then the joke will be like they lampshade it and then anti-lampshade it a couple of times. It's just like, oh, well, Bump Bottle was my uncle, and he was such like an intelligent guy and, all this sort of stuff. But then they'll have a character be like, Butt Bottle, what a stupid name. Who the hell would call a character that kind of thing? I was thinking of that with the mayor, which you only see the mayor like twice in this game, and it doesn't actually pay off to anything, which surprised me. But like there is a lot of kind of like plumber style humor with that, I thought.
Yeah, and with the bit that there's in terms of humor, I think the other thing that I got a kick out of was the bit where you have to like choose which guy is right in their little argument. Like it's
the blue and red guy.
These two little they're guarding the gate.
They're guarding the gate at the beginning.
Trash can dudes.
Oh, okay.
And they're just like, I'm so ugly, and be like, yeah, he's not ugly. And be like, it's like, who's right? And it's like, no, you're looking good, man. And be like, oh, thank you. And the other guy's like, fuck you.
In all honesty, the way that those characters do in bickering back and forth, I got like a little bit annoyed with. But the way that the player characters' responses are written, I was like, oh, this is actually quite sharp. Like they obviously know what they're doing with all it. Because I think of the bit where you take the Roiling gun to Space Applebee's so he can tell you his tragic backstory, and you just don't care. Like the waiter keeps coming over. And he's just like, hey, do you guys want to order anything? And Royland's like, I'm trying to tell him my backstory. This is really important. But then all your responses are like, buffalo wings, ribs, kind of like you just order a dinner for yourself.
Like, can I have the margarita with the?
Yeah, and I made a note of this. I ordered a Long Island iced tea, but they brought a pina colada over. They only made one model for the drink.
Oh, I didn't even realize.
Yeah,
that.
I know.
Microsoft budget has to at least cover that. I would have thought.
Maybe that's a joke.
Maybe all the drinks come in the same glasses. Wyatt, I think that is such an interesting point that you were saying about like you don't really get comedies in games anymore.
Yeah.
And I wonder whether it's kind of like in films, it's just become one of those things of like, oh, films are so expensive now, so you can't do like a straight comedy. You have comedy elements in like Marvel films and stuff like that. Because AAA, like whenever it does comedy, it's very sort of like Nathan Drake-y, where it's like a guy who quips rather than say, out and out something like say Monkey Island. Well, Monkey Island has quips, but that is like a comedic game.
It's straight,
it's more
comedy.
woven into the beats of the game because it is things where like the dialogue options I agree are probably one of the more clever elements of this game where the the comedy's actually baked into the interactivity, and Monkey Island like excels at that. But there's other parts of this game that it's funny you mentioned that bit, Kevin, because like honestly, maybe not the best example because I was like fine with that one, but like that kind of thing exemplifies like the kind of humor I really don't like in this game that I honestly don't miss from games like over a decade ago. And it's like the bit where it's the idea when like a game the game's joke is that like it's wasting your time. Like it's like it interrupts you playing a video game, and the whole joke is like that the dialogue doesn't end and it keeps going on. Like again, I think like I was thinking a lot of like Borderlands, where like you keep coming back to a character and they just like the joke is like, oh, they have more dialogue, like in a Dark Souls way where like you just keep going up to an NPC and they never stop talking.
You have to exhaust the dialogue.
But it's like the joke is they just never stop talking, and in a way it is like, oh, I don't know, it is still it's something you can only do in a video game. But I don't miss that.
And then there's like following up that is the scene with the kid, which is basically the same beat where the kid is like, you can't get by me. I dare you to shoot me. And then you like you keep clicking with Kenny, and Kenny's like, I'm not shooting a kid. And then one time you click too many times and Kenny shoots the kid. And Kenny's like, you feel better? You killed a kid. And then you walk down a little bit, and then you talk to his mother, and the mother's like, geez, you killed my son. But he was a piece of shit. You probably deserved it. But my son. And it's so, yeah, I get that. Especially because that sequence with talking with the two guys then kicks off a discussion dialogue, like a discussion tree with three characters in a row in the span of 5 minutes that all do the same bit of.
They kind of get it out of the way, I guess, a little bit, because I don't think it's as prevalent later.
Sure.
No.
I mean, it does come back with a sister. I mean, I'll come back around to the sister because everything I thought.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a very weird style of comedy because it's something that kind of works in a cartoon because it's like you can record all the audio first, then animate around it. But it's very like UCB improv class where it's like a guy only kind of has like 3 little tricks in his pockets where it's like, oh, if I keep referencing this, or like, oh, if I keep putting a hat on a hat, then this. Obviously, this will keep getting funnier. But the fact that like that was all the humor, and then they had to give it to a fucking games design team to go, okay, no, you have to rig this model, and you have to like put the textures on it, and then you have to create this in such a way, and it's like, even if you don't do this dialogue option, that's still gonna be there. It's like, you only have a fucking AA budget on this. Like, focus on the gun feel more than kind of the humor stuff. But again, it's like it's something that you wouldn't get away with in a AAA where it's. We need like maximum playability, like everyone needs to play this. But and again, you don't really see it, like apart from Borderlands, which has obviously built its bed on comedy FPS or comedy FPS RPG. Like no one's really saying, so I kind of appreciate that about this, even though it's a style of humor I don't particularly like. But like even the fact that the whole premise of the game is like a joke that somebody came up with in improv, which is that the game is called High on Life, and it's literally about you play as a kid who like his neighborhood is getting ripped up by aliens called the G3 Cartel, and the shtick is that they're kidnapping humans because they're like one of the most psychoactive like elements in the universe, and they're literally just being smoked like bongs, and it's like, okay, it very kind of. It's the sort of thing that like Redman would be in a comedy to do with that in like 1999. Redman and Method Man would have been in the 99 version of High on Life. I mean, that is literally the plot of How High, is that their roommate dies and they smoke his ashes, and that gives them the intelligence to go to college.
Are you serious?
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that is the plot of How High. If it's not, then I'm
that's
just going to
awesome.
throw it out there to people.
That is the plot. They smoke his ashes, and then by smoking his ashes, they can see his ghost.
Oh.
And then the ghost helps them with their exams. So yes, it is a comedy film starring Method Man and Redman. There's
like I remember there's a joke in that film where it's like they run out of the ashes, so it's like, well, what do we do? And they start interviewing like maths geniuses to be like, can we smoke you, kind of thing. Yeah, it's very. And you know why you're pulling that face? Literally, the only reason I remember that scene is because because I think that film came out in like 99 or something, or like
it's I just had it open. It is 2001.
Okay, 2001. So I would have been 10 at the
This movie is released post 9/11. This is December 21st, 2001. You know what?
I mean, Kevin, America needed to laugh again, and they were going
America needed to laugh again. It was probably shot. It was probably filmed in like, I'm imagining
June or July
August.
time. Yeah. So like when I was 10, I used to go over this guy's house who like he thought he was a gangster, and he was like, "Yo, I need to show you my favorite film, fucking How High," and it's like. I'm 10 and I'm watching this and I'm like, I don't know any of this shit. There's like, I don't know what the hell is going on in this film.
But I do love that for you. I love.
Oh yeah,
that was. Hey, it also had Jeffrey Jones in it.
Oh wow. God, what's Jeffrey Jones known for again? What's he famous for? He's like he's a character actor, isn't he? Yeah,
he's a character actor. He's famous for the pedophilia. but also
Oh yeah, he's the dad in Beetlejuice, isn't he? He's the bad dad
in Beetlejuice. Yes.
Yeah, because they've just put out the new Beetlejuice trailer and they've killed him off.
They've killed him off for the second Beetlejuice movie.
Yeah, isn't he also in a Michael Mann film?
I'm sure he was in so many
he was
things. He was in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He was in.
Oh yeah, that's right. He's
the Emperor and Amadeus. He's in a lot of things.
Good old Jeffrey Jones. Well, actually, no, not good old Jeffrey Jones, because I forgot about the
Jeffrey Jones.
Him and Roiland put him in the jail. That's what I say.
But yes, I will confirm that it does seem like High on Life is just a ripoff of How High.
Well, there we go. It combined How High with Star Kid. He's going on. The last what's it called? Like Flight of the Navigator, where it's the kid who gets like sent to space as a fighter pilot.
Yeah, I think that's right. But yeah, I agree with you, James, because it's like I don't know, because it's weird, because I found most of this game kind of annoying.
Yeah.
But also, I don't know, I didn't turn it off.
No.
I did admire that it takes such wild swings all the time.
That's the thing that I have with this, is that like I literally could just boil it down to whenever a character was talking, I was annoyed. But like all the visual gags and just like the world is built on a joke, but just like, as like a concept, it's like, oh, this is neat. Like this is, again, it's very Henson-y in regards to, oh, you've given us this budget to like, it's a world that literally came out of a fucking weed joke, but we're literally going to give this 10,000% in regards to the production quality. And like, again, just like, I thought the game was going to annoy me from the beginning of just like, it makes you choose what your character looks like, which never pays off because it never breaks from first person. But the character selector is a compact mirror with cocaine on it. And it's like, this is kind of, maybe the tone of this is maybe a bit too like people who like Rick and Morty go, oh, he's on coke. I don't think I've actually seen cocaine before. So just throwing that in is a bit like, don't know if I particularly like that. But then, then Earth starts getting ripped up, and then basically the game was kind of like sort of Mega Man. Like you have these bosses that you have to take out one by one, and then the thing is that like, so the alien world design and the boss design of this, and we talked about this a tiny bit of just like the sort of aesthetic that they landed on is kind of like goo punk, but like very much inspired by like 90s gnarly toys of
I would say High on Life, parts of it reminds me, it's less Rick and Morty and more, what's the other show? Solar Opposites.
Right.
Which was the other Roiland show that he has been so fired from that they did not even recast his voice with an impersonator. They just got from Downton Abbey. Dan Stevens.
I was quite fond of that bit.
Dan Stevens.
Oh, it's Dan Stevens.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
interesting.
It's a good bit. So what happens is like they're getting ready to go somewhere, and the guy gets shot in the throat, and they're like, oh, we got to reconstruct it, and it's like it was accidentally set.
They put a stent in. Yeah.
It's like accidentally set to British or something like that, and they're like, this is my voice. This is my voice now. And it's like there's like tachyons in it, so and flashbacks. It'll also be my voice.
Yeah,
so
it is like the most exaggerated thing of just like, oh, there's no way that they can make my voice sound like it used to, and even when you think of me in flashbacks, it'll sound exactly like this as well. Like, cool. Okay, appreciate that.
Thanks, Dan Stevens.
And again, like it's funny because just this game is kind of like the humor that I very much like is kind of the visual stuff where I feel like, well, there's other people on this team who are adding jokes to this. The kind of Roilandisms that annoy me was like, in the house, there's always a film that's running, which is Tammy and the T-Rex, which it's a funny, like, if you have no idea, it's like, oh, that's just kind of like, oh, what a weird thing. Why do we do that? But I totally forget about the fact that like Justin Roiland absolutely kisses the ground of Red Letter Media, who were those guys who basically they did the Mr. Plinker reviews for the prequels, and then have since gone on from there. And like, I like their stuff, but like, I also find their fan base is like really annoying about them, and Royland is part of that in regards to not only is Tammy and the T-Rex in there in its entirety because that was an episode of Red Letter Media. He also puts them in the game watching a film, and you can just listen to them reviewing a film. And then the final gun that you get in the game, Let's Do It, is voiced by one of the RLM guys. But he literally
I did not know that.
He only says, but the only thing he can say is Let's do it in like a really bad Stallone impression.
Yeah.
So wait, they're the ones doing the like mystery science.
Yeah, that's the mystery science theater
yeah,
guys in the front row.
Got it. Okay.
Which again, they're not as sharp
forgot.
as Crow or Tom Servo. That's
So it's Red Letter Media doing MST.
Yeah.
basically
Not as good as MST.
No, of course not. Despite the fact that I'm sure you could have got the Rift Tracks guys for cheaper than RLM.
I'm sure the Rift Tracks guys would have showed up if you paid them.
So again, it's kind of annoying, and like it's just very much full of his like, well, I'm in charge of this game, so I'm going to fill it with all the shit that I like. And then sometimes that's good in regards to, I like the goo punk aesthetic, and the musician behind this game, I fucking like was levitating off the chair when I realized is a guy called Tobacco, who when I was in university.
No way.
Yeah,
I forgot about that. Yeah. I love Tobacco.
I used to bump his stuff all the time. Tobacco, if you don't know him, Kevin, he does psychedelic rock, but he's he's a one man guy who does all this stuff. But his music is very like, it has like a particular kind of almost sort of like, it sounds like an old VHS tape dying, but turned into music. So it kind of crosses over a lot with stuff like, Everything is Terrible and that kind of like early VHS waves.
Sort of like the Balatro theme where
oh yeah and then
it sounds like it's playing off of a
dying PC
a dying PC.
Yeah, so what Balatro is to like lounge jazz, this is to like rock music essentially.
Got it. Yeah.
And to the extent of like, this is one of those soundtracks that like since playing the game I just bump on its own because it's like, well, this is just a Tobacco album.
Yeah.
So this is like fucking good. But then like his eccentricities then feed into, so when you end up on the alien homeworld, you have to find an ex-mercenary, like an ex-bounty hunter, and you take a suit and whatever, and he just moves into the house, and half the jokes are him bickering with your human sister, and those words just go on. And then bleed into missions which are annoying as well, of like she's ran away from home.
And there's no fucking fast forward.
There's not.
Yeah. I also wanted to ask, very minor, did it take you like 10 minutes to find him?
Yeah, it did. Oh yeah, no, it did. Yeah, they don't. Yeah, they don't tell you where he is, and
They
because
just say, he's here somewhere. Which, again, I assume is intentional because they want you to see all these NPC interactions that they built and all these little, like, character flourishes, but it's like...
Yeah, all the NPCs are like, what? No, fuck you, I'm not that guy.
yeah, no, I'm that guy. No, I mean I have his name, but I'm not actually that guy. It's like great improv, good joke. More of that, please. Yeah, and then he moves into your house and he's just kind of like, hey, I'm a guy. I wear a wife beater. I'm gonna sit on your couch, kind of thing. And I don't know, like I don't mind those characters, but it's just like the interactions between them just like drove me up the wall.
Yeah. Voiced by Laura Silverman is the sister.
Who is the sister of Sarah Silverman in real life?
Yes.
Oh.
She also is the thing you might know Laura Silverman most from in terms of like voice. She does one of the voices on Bob's Burgers.
That's right, yeah.
She's one of the twins. She's Andy of Andy and Ollie. Ollie is voiced by Sarah Silverman.
Ha! There you go. That makes sense. Again, there's like little things in this game that I just like. Again, like to go back to sort of the visual design stuff of it. Like one of the bosses, who isn't my favorite boss, but he's the guy who has the drill on his head, and the whole thing is that before they found the humans as kind of like this sort of psychedelic, like kind of feeding source, that basically there's like a village full of Care Bears, and those are who they're using as their like drugs, essentially. And so he's literally just sticking these guys whole in their head, drilling them down, and it's like he's just got a massive contact high from it. But just that character design is like, that'd be like a really cool little like action figure or something to have.
Sure.
A lot of the characters in this is just like, this has got good action figure energy to it. And again, it just goes back to the fact of everyone on this game was just a fucking sharpshooter of just, they knew what they were doing. Like, they were making a Mr. Beast burger, but they made you the absolute best one you'll ever have. But the problem is that Jimmy Donaldson's fucking face is just staring at you constantly while you're eating it. Except in this case, it's Justin Roiland.
Justin Roiland is talking to you while you're trying to eat your goddamn burger.
He's trying to tell you that, hey, I'm a nice guy, though. Like, you know, the fact that I recognize my flaws means that I must be a nice guy, right?
Which is like it's this fucking like these semi-therapy pilled bro dudes like Justin Roiland and fucking Jonah Hill who they've been to therapy clearly, and they're just out there talking and be like, I recognize that I have these problems, but I'm not actually adjusting myself for these problems. I'm just telling you I have them, and therefore it's cool.
I'm trying to think, like, again, like, I guess you could just go through and just mention a bunch of jokes. Like with Dr. Giblets, who's the guy who cracks his head, that entire section before you even get to him has like shit Batman Arkham Asylum detective mode jokes, where this little guy keeps appearing on your hood and he's like, hey, I'm a detective and I'll tell you what to do. That's annoying. When you fight Nipulon, which was weird, which is like the last guy that you fight before you get to the final boss, he infects you with a drug and you start you basically
you're
go
doing
into like a
psychedelic scarecrow-esque another Arkham Asylum type thing.
So again, it's like, what's the game you like? Arkham Asylum. But even more than that, those games are all built on the Unreal Engine. And if this is being made by Epic, they're probably just like, oh, we have that plugin, just pop it in. And I was thinking about in regards to that section has it so they give you these little 3D diorama worlds to explore, but as you move into them, they expand and shrink and stuff like that. There is a game called Manifold Garden that does exactly that, and that's built in Unreal Engine. So it's now a thing of like, did you ask those guys for the code to go like, oh yeah, we're putting it in Justin Roiland's game. We just need to bulk this out.
And that was probably my least favorite fight in the game.
Yeah.
Because there are these repetitive scenes of like, oh, you got to find the person and talk to them and make your peace with them before you can move on. And I'm like, I would just be wandering the fuck around these like growing and shrinking dioramas, not knowing where I'm supposed to go. And it'd be like, oh, they're under something. It's just the worst game of hide and seek imaginable. And then you do that like 4 times in 4 different things. And then the rest of the boss fight is just like, okay, you shoot the guy, but you gotta keep shooting. He's split out into all these clones. It's like a battle of attrition where you have to burn him down faster than his clones can burn, because you're not able to dodge anything at this point. You're just floating. No. So you got to burn him down before his clones kill you. And that's not fun. Because you can miss by like a hair and you have to start the stupid part of the fight over. Anyway, what'd you think of that fight?
Yeah, why are you boss thoughts?
I did not beat the game. So I watched a playthrough of the rest of the last hour. You know what?
That's absolutely fine. This is one of the rare games for Bullet Time that I did actually beat. I was having such a wonderful time.
I
beat this.
I told you I fell off at the first time, and I got about as far as I did the first time.
We need differing opinions on this podcast. We
do. Like when it came to Redfall, for example, James and Jesse got a lot farther, and I quit after like maybe 2 hours into it, realizing that I had seen the gameplay loop. I was like, And I'm good. I'm out. This is the loop.
And it's funny when we talk about like Redfall, that is a game of loops versus this, where you could also break this into loops of, oh, well, you're in a corridor and you shoot, now you're in an arena and you shoot, and you da 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 da.
Yeah.
At least in this, though, it all feels kind of unique. It feels like all the content in this is at least handcrafted. There's no like, it doesn't feel like it's generated in a way that Redfall does, where like literally some of those are genuinely generated. But like everything here is still like built for purpose, which, I mean, hey, like, it is built to Royland's vision, but it was still built. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of anything else before just wrapping up the game, but like, no, I suppose I could just, because the game ends on a joke that I didn't particularly mind, which was that so you've taken out all of the lackeys. That's just this episode in a nutshell. It's just me being the comedy reviewer of like, okay, this joke works. This joke doesn't work. Here's your joke score at the end. No, sorry. It was a thing of just like the head boss was like, oh, I've kidnapped the two people that are most important, like the most important people in the world, and you go, oh shit, my mom and dad.
Yeah.
And then he reveals it's Susan Sarandon and Jack Black. And you're like, who are they? Oh wait, that's Jack Black and Susan Sarandon. And he's like, yeah, I asked people who were the two most important people in the world, and like one of the guys said this. I was like,
yeah, and
you got the world's smallest. You got a single clap from me for that.
And then it's like, oh, that's not my parents. Like, oh, these aren't your parents. And then he just fucking kills Susan Sarandon and Jack Black. He turns them into goo and throws them away.
Jack Black, I feel like, will just do any game you ask him to do. Whereas Susan Sarandon's got that weird thing of like, speaking of Arcane, like she's in Dishonored 1, so she just must be keen to do video games, I guess.
Yeah, she's fine with it. She also, Susan Sarandon is also in Rick and Morty as the
therapist.
She voices the therapist in Rick and Morty.
Rick episode.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. So it all connects.
There it is. It all ties together. She is in the extended Royland verse of actors.
Put this on the bullet sign bingo board. This game literally, you fight the boss, and the game literally just fades to black, and it ends. There's no end cutscene in this game. It just ends on a fade to black to credits.
It's just Kenny's like, you did it, and then credits.
Yeah, it literally just rolls the credits from there. That's it.
Did either of you play High on Knife?
No, so I was going to quickly mention. I didn't.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Didn't get a chance to play it. So we kind of already said so. So this game came out, December 13th, 2022, and this was about 2 weeks before the Royland. So there had already been Royland allegations earlier in the year of certain people had come forward, but then it had been settled out of court. 2 weeks after this, more serious allegations came out where there was no explanation. Like, basically, he couldn't cover himself for it. And to the extent of Dan Harmon, like, it even put out a statement saying, like, yeah, I'm incredibly disappointed, like, for all parties. And, like, we are cutting ties across the board with this. However, Microsoft still had to sell this fucking game, and so did as much as they could to remove Royland from all the Squanch website stuff from the game as much as possible, but they couldn't remove his voice lines because they're fucking hard baked into the game. And they obviously can't downplay his vision of a guy of, like, you know, this from the mind of the guy who made Rick and Morty.
From the mind of Plumbuses.
From the twisted mind of this guy. When they came to High on Knife, though, basically everyone, all the voice actors come back except for him, and they build the DLC around the knife, who's voiced by the guy from Smiling Friends. Tone's a little bit different. It's more of a kind of a survival horror thing than it is like a Metro. Like, it's more of a straight shot, and they're kind of leaning more on sort of the weird body horror elements of the game, less than they are like the humor, which is interesting. So, I don't know. The only reason I didn't play it is that because we're going through Game Pass bangers at the moment, and that would have required us paying extra on top of Game Pass in order to play. And I'm not interested in that.
Not at all.
I was going to say, I remember there was another, like, much more minor controversy, but, like, it's really only present in the opening of the game that I remember, but there's, like, a lot of like AI generated stuff in this game.
Oh,
like do you all remember that?
I forgot about that.
Yeah, like I totally forgot. But it's like mainly the time I noticed it was like I didn't really think about it much this playthrough because I was trying to get through the intro. But like all the posters and stuff around your house and your room are AI generated.
Yeah,
and
it's all
like,
Dali.
It makes sense because like Royland's improv bits are kind of just slop where he's just saying gibberish and that is the joke. So like they don't seem out of place, and so like weirdly it makes sense. Like the joke is that it's slop. Like it's like, you know, like non-grammatical English. Like maybe it's not even words. I can't remember.
You just type that slop into Dolly and use what comes out.
God.
I just remembered that. I didn't have much else to say.
That's totally, you know what, and that actually dings the art direction in this game a little bit of just like, oh, well, you spent the money on doing models, and like this game like has like really interesting concept art and stuff behind it. Like all the environments you go to, one's like a jungle, one's like a Wild West town or whatever. You are like punching above your weight, like in regards to ideas, but why? But then you have concept artists and people who can draw on the scene. Why use Dali to do like shit? Again, like that feels like an end of we've ran out of money thing. Or again, it might have even just been Royland being like, oh, I've been playing around with this thing called ChatGPT. Let's put it in the game. Like,
yeah. No, that feels like a Royland thing where he's like, all right, somebody just take the PNGs he's shitting out and throw them on the wall.
It's funny because like, when I finished the game, I was like, oh, I'm super positive on this, but talking about the game is like, I actually know it's gone down massively.
It's losing points the more you think about it.
Yeah. This is weird. Like, I can't recommend it to anyone. Like, but playing this game, basically, like, saying you should play this game is like, yeah, go visit Justin Roiland's theme park. I mean, he's not making any money off this.
Playing it is better than talking or thinking about it.
That's the main thing.
As soon as you talk or think about it, you're like, what? I shouldn't have done that. Why did I do that?
I wonder if like Squanch is going to continue to exist after this and like make good games, because I could see that, like honestly, because I think this game did decently well.
Yeah, so this game did sell pretty well. Like, well,
yeah,
we can't get super clear data because it was on Game Pass. It's one of those things that like it's like Netflix where they can just come up with a number and say, oh, this, like, I think they literally did come out and say, like, this was one of the biggest Game Pass releases at the time that, like, it came out. Like, it had so many unique users playing Game Pass, and it did sell subscriptions for Game Pass when it came out. And again, like, I think that is just down to the strength of, like, Royland's IP at that point, you know?
Yeah. I think it might have been in the leak, but I can't remember. But, like, there was that thing where they were talking about, like, Baldur's Gate, they offered $1 million or whatever it was, you know, like stuff like this. So like, I think there might be some numbers floating around, but I don't know. But yeah, like, seems to have done decent. I remember liking the Squanch VR games, and that was also, you know, those were made with Crows,
That's
which is like, you know, part of the team that made the Stanley Parable, and I can't think of what else they made. I think that's mostly it so far. A few other like really small projects, but like, so there's talent there.
Yeah.
And again, it's interesting. It's like, I think modern Rick and Morty has issues that are not Justin Roiland related, and I think a lot of it has to relate to what Kevin was talking about at the very beginning, with like the meta narrative of the show, and like the fact that the show is aware of its serialization, like one of the things, and also related to kind of like these kind of toxic men that can like kind of wield therapy speak, you know, because it's like I don't think Rick and Morty is supposed to be a nihilistic show. I think it is supposed to be aware that these characters are bad people and they want to grow. But because this is a show that got greenlit for like 10 seasons or something and it can never end, these characters are not allowed to grow.
No.
And like, so High on Life doesn't really I don't know if I guess there are some like nihilistic jokes. Like, there's not a lot of sincerity in this game. There's maybe no sincerity in this game. Like, it dodges it a little bit, but it falls into other traps, I guess.
I think it's one of those things that you say as well as like, the show has to remain somewhat static because of how long they've extended it out for. I mean, this game obviously has the issue of that, like, humor in games is one of those challenging things because at least, like, in a Monkey Island, you're always, even when you fail, you push forward. In this, you may, if you're in a really tricky section, you might have to rehear jokes multiple times. Like, I had that issue with one of the boss fights, which was, it's the one where they're like three guys, but they join together.
The three brothers. Yeah,
but the joke is like they're all massholes. Like they're all like kind of Mark Wahlberg. Like
they're staying prayed up.
Yeah, they're staying prayed up. But they're all like kind of like nasty jerks, and you have to hear those lines again and again and again and it's like, I think that might even be a partial thing of just why they don't do a lot of comedy in games because it's written jokes, especially they struggle for repetition. But
right. Yeah. It really only works in certain circumstances where you don't have to be over re-exposed to the scenario.
Yeah.
But I do know, I believe other games have done this even without comedy. They just skip the bits like on a replay, right? They'll just like you don't need to hear it again. So there's programmatic ways around that, but that has to be thought of in the design.
Yeah. That's why I played the game on easy.
I think
tried to get through this.
I think I eventually did the same as well. I think I dropped it down a couple of
easy mode is.
I was like going into this game. Yeah, going into this game on this playthrough, I'm like, I'm not going to do whatever difficulty did last time.
Yeah. I did play for a little bit on hard just because, like, I think especially on something like Bullet Time, to get into the feel of combat or whatever, sometimes you do have to pump it up a couple of numbers just because.
That's the thing. The gameplay is more fun on a harder difficulty. Yeah. But then, the downside is if you die, you have to hear the bits again.
Yeah. No, that is the shitter of it.
Yeah, I think about comedy in games, and it's like, I think about like Lethal Company and stuff like that, where
it's more
comedy
spontaneous.
Comes from. Yeah, and it's like, I think that's and it's still not super common. Weirdly, like, I think the older Squanch games, the accounting, that was Squanch, right?
I think they worked...
Or is that Crows?
Yeah, no, it was definitely Crows, but I think that might have had some kind of Squanch influence on it. But yeah, like, that's like the humor of trying to, like, do stuff in VR, like Surgeon Simulator is built on that.
Yeah, like, the other one was, like, Trover Saves the Universe. That was their VR one too, right, I think. Yeah. But like, those games they worked on, like, I think by nature of being VR, like, leans more into the purely like improvisational, like for the player, improvisational sorts of comedy, like, physics based or just interactive based. I also think of like, and again, also not a super recent game, but like Octodad, where like comedy comes from just like improv, like that kind of thing. I mean, still, I don't see a place for it in most games, and that's fine. But like, I don't know, maybe Squanch can lean into, like, again, I don't think it'd be VR, but maybe if they can avoid Justin Roiland and try and find like, because if I'm assuming the niche is going to be like still like they're making funny games. That I assume that would still be the brand if they make games going forward. It'd be interesting to see if there's a way they can lean into that side of comedy, like maybe make it more palatable.
I was thinking of that as you were describing it, of just like maybe like still within the structure of an FPS game, which is recognizable, but like leaning way more on like rag dolls and kind of floppy physics. And there's a Totally Accurate Battlegrounds is kind of a bit like that, where it's it's done in the style of PUBG and it's first person, but it's the characters from Totally Accurate Battle Simulator. So you have like like it's all rigid body wobbly physics, so like even trying to aim your gun is like super, but like that game's like really funny.
That stuff makes me giggle every time. Just seeing floppiness, that'll give me a chuckle.
just press a button and you ragdoll. Yeah,
and like this game's not devoid of it, but I think that's actually something weirdly like that and maybe it was just a polished thing, I don't mean to criticize them too harshly, maybe it was a budget thing, but like, I don't know, I think in regards to the game feel too, it's like, I don't know, I just needed more ragdolls, I guess. I needed more interactivity from, like, I don't know, I feel like that would have gone a long way.
I
if
think
that was more of a focus.
it's the Mr. Beast thing of just like you still build the burger to like the same standards and stuff like ragdolls and whatever. Any kind of like chance that something might clip in a wall, that break then that isn't like something you can build to a standard. Whereas like if you're making a comedy game, you should just lean sort of into the kind of the goofiness. Of things might go.
You'd think
wrong.
they would make jokes about like characters clipping into walls.
Yeah. Thanks. Kevin, have you got any final thoughts on life?
Final thoughts on High on Life. Just to summarize, a couple funny bits. I like the gunplay and the traversal. Fuck Justin Roiland. The end.
Agreed.
I think that would be like my one sentence of it.
Yeah, that's sort of where I think, especially as we've kind of talked about it, and I think this has been quite cool from Wyatt of just like putting it in perspective for comedy games. I think if you did make another game like this, I think building a game around a comedic persona is a harder sell than just building a game around, well, not harder, but like building a game around a comedic persona is way more on rails than building a game around comedy. Because at least with comedy, there's like slapstick stuff, which floppy ragdolls, like there's games like GTA 4 is one that I think of, and like that's not a funny game, but because those are all ragdolls, like shooting a guy and they fall down the stairs, that is funny. Or like when you get drunk and you're stumbling around, that is funny. Yeah. But that still works within the structure of like something, kind of recognizable. Like that isn't a comedy game straight up, but that is, again, it's the thing that we say with like MCU movies where they have like elements of levity to them. But whereas, say, that is in the writing, or like, a guy says, oh, he's behind me, isn't he? In a game, you could do something a bit more clever of just like having, floppy ragdolls or like, unexpected physics or whatever. Again, but then that kind of goes against sort of what the ethos of this game, which was literally Epic and Microsoft going, this is plug and play. We're literally just going to give you a team that you do the writing and the imagination, and they'll just, again, it's a theme park. And if you're Walt Disney, you don't want the Hall of you don't want the Hall of Presidents glitching. You don't want them flopping over like ragdolls because that breaks the illusion. They're going for something completely different of, no, you're on rails, but like, the Jug Bear Band, they're going to make quips. That's the comedy.
Right.
Whereas, I don't know, maybe a more kind of formative experience would be if you go and see the Jug Bears and one of them just starts glitching out and singing like, I don't know, like DMX or whatever. Like that's gonna stick with you more than if it does stay on the rails. Again, I think we said at the beginning of the episode, we'll say it again at the end of the episode, but it's just like this is such a product tainted by Roiland in regards to you can't really recommend it to anyone, but like I did really enjoy the gameplay of this, but insofar as like, well, you guys made a Mr. Beast burger, so it's like, remove the Roiland from it, keep that structure, and just staple something else to it. Just like make something new,
right?
Like just because you're Squanch doesn't mean that maybe bring another art. Maybe bring like the Smiling Friends guys in or whatever, and see what you can do with them. But
I think they might also be a little problematic, honestly.
Those guys are okay. Yeah, no, those guys are.
I think they're also not great guys.
I'm seeing a note, and I'm getting some information. Also, problem.
Okay, give it to me and Kevin. We're not problematic. Let us make the Bullet Time FPS game. There we go. Okay.
Yeah. Who does Smiling Friends?
It's some Psychic Peebles who was the Newgrounds guy, but like he's from that era of Newgrounds where you can't stop saying the R slur. So
right,
exactly. Yeah, it's like I don't know. He's not as bad a guy as Justin Roiland. I still wouldn't.
No, exactly.
Yeah,
it's just, I don't know.
There was a whole generation of like YouTuber Newgrounds guy that ended up getting somewhat popular. They made their bones with building an audience in the aughts, and then became more mainstream popular in the 2010s. And now by the 2020s, we're like, oh shit, we should not have given them anything. We shouldn't have let them become popular. They're terrible people.
Yeah, it's like. This is really mean, but it's like, I thought a lot of these guys, maybe really problematic elements aside, were very funny when I was like a teenager. Yeah. And it's like, now that I'm an adult, it's like, oh, these people are like in their late 30s now,
Yeah.
and they're still doing like they still have this sense of humor of a 14.
But that's the thing, you get trapped in amber because like
Yeah.
that's the thing you become popular for, and it's like, well, God, if I come
yeah,
off,
it's like,
if I come off the
I
track, then
almost
I'm
feel
dead.
bad.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I almost feel bad.
Oh yeah, no, it is awful. It's like
awful.
it's
Yeah.
Arrested Development. Like,
It's a real I'll call it PewDiePie syndrome, as the most successful person to benefit off of it, but the just that, hey, I started when and I could do whatever, and I'm almost on that line, and sometimes I go over that line, but then if I go over that line, it's your fault for being offended. And I'm not going to make any real meaningful changes to my life, and then I'm going to just walk away with my millions of dollars. It's I don't know. I just don't get me started, because I'll be here all day, and I'll talk, and it'll be Ronald Reagan's fault by the end of my rants.
Wyatt, final thoughts on High on Life from Microsoft and Squanch Games.
It's interesting. I don't know. It's on Game Pass.
Yeah.
I'd say it's probably worth a shot, honestly. Like,
Turn the volume, turn the character speech off, and have a great time, I guess.
Yeah, because I kind of land where Kevin does, because it's like I don't know. Weirdly, I almost came out of this talk more positive, because
Interesting.
it's also like, I mean,
We're
a
just
little behind the scenes, but it's
we're
been
just
like
averaging each other out, basically, on it.
We're slowly reaching Baby Bear's porridge between the three of us.
But it's been like, a month since I played this
Yeah.
game, because my bad, my computer broke. So
No, it's
like,
fine, it's fine.
yes. But I'm like, in revisiting it and thinking about it again, I'm like, I'm actually seeing like I have the rose tinted glasses on now. But there's admirable things about the game, and it's fun enough. I almost beat it. So it's worth a shot.
And the sad thing is, Kevin, of the FPS stuff that we played on Game Pass, is probably the best one.
It
out of
is.
all of them.
Yeah, it's the best.
It was Score and Redfall in this.
So we done Scorn, Redfall, this, and at some point I think we maybe might look at Atomic Heart, and like this clears all of them pretty handily.
Yeah, I've not played Atomic Heart.
Yeah.
Atomic Heart is
Clunky at BioShock.
if you wanted BioShock but you wanted it to be communist, but also worse.
Yeah.
I don't even like BioShock that much.
Oh well, there we go. I was gonna say, if you want like if you want a game as polished as BioShock, but it's made by like a team that made like fucking Painkiller, like that. Like if you want like the Serious Sam guys to try and make a game of that, well, actually, no, because Serious Sam is good. No, Painkiller I think is the correct like
It's
that
polished,
is.
Yeah, it's polished but not good.
No, it's polished to like a Eurojank stat. Like it's polished Eurojank is how I would describe that game. Which as a result loses a lot of the charm of those kind of games.
It's a weird era of games where we're just getting like, I don't even know how to describe it, but just like clones of games. Because there's like another game coming out. I think it's called Judas by Sam.
Oh, well, that is by
Sam
Ken
whatever his
Levine.
name is.
Yeah.
And it's just BioShock. But it's
Space.
like, and there's 2 years ago we had like 5 games that were just Left 4 Dead, and it's like, it's such a weird time in the industry.
Yeah, we're getting like so many, because Back 4 Blood was also a Game Pass game, and that's like a bunch of people played it through that, and that was
Game Pass is bringing all these games back.
That's what I mean. It's like maybe that's just the selling. Like it's kind of the Netflix thing of just like, hey, you remember the AO? Oh, we're bringing it back. Oh, you do remember Arrested Development? Like, hey, we brought it back. Like, you remember this? But we're doing more episodes of it. And I wonder whether that was just...
remember all these janky and weird XBLA games that you used to get back in the aughts? They're back, baby.
Yeah, like Cocoon is that. Like that was the next game from the X-Playdead guys, and and again, I don't mind it. Like again, like I like the games I like, and if I can get like new versions of that, that's fine. But then also,
no, totally, I feel like I should have more criticisms of it, like Game Pass in general, because like there's certainly scary things about it,
Oh, yeah.
all digital future and stuff. But like on the other hand, it's like it's not the entire antidote to the modern games industry. And obviously, I think that there are, obviously the adage that there's no good games or anything is tired. But like, yeah, I'm sick of AAA bloat, and like. It's not where all the good games that are coming out are, but like, yeah, there's a lot of exciting stuff on Game Pass, like that maybe wouldn't exist or wouldn't be as financially viable if not for it. So it's like, it's cool stuff.
And I think to go back to sort of like the whole point of Bullet Time, which was to kind of look at these games that have sort of been like forgotten by not so much forgotten by history, but like were like either kind of like these really interesting failures or got left on the wayside. Oh, and were made by like teams that were competent but just never quite got to the level of, say, AAA stardom. Game Pass does at least give a fighting chance to stuff like that. Like games which, if they were AAA games coming out now, would have to be so play tested and so marketed to a particular. You'd end up with stuff like Suicide Squad, where it's like it has to hit all these different kind of, live service that they're playing forever, and it's based on Batman and all that kind of stuff. Whereas with this, it's on Game Pass, you can just get away with making something a little bit smaller. And hey, it's usually the small games that have these kind of weird like oddities to them that make episodes of Bullet Time interesting. Of like, why did they do this? And this is like a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if EA made, like, the next Battlefield game, but it was Justin Roiland's game. Like, how big of a fucking disaster would that have been? Like,
Oh, God.
Whereas Microsoft can take the hit of, hey, we put it on Game Pass, so if something bad happens to Roiland in a week's time, in case that ever happens, nothing for us to worry about.
It'll be fine.
It'll be fine. Now, do you want to take a guess what this game is currently sitting at on Metacritic?
Ooh. I'm going to guess 76.
78. Oh, okay, very close.
Okay, you're saying 76. You're saying, Kevin says 76. Wyatt says 78. Kevin, you're closest. It got the sex number. It's currently at 69 out of 100 on Metacritic.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
I will say this much.
I think it must have dropped.
More positive reviews from bigger kind of... IGN was very keen on this game. They gave it quite a high review, but everyone else was sort of middling.
Yeah, I remember that.
The blogs absolutely eviscerated it because they could sort of talk about it because it is so much Roiland's vision, and if you're not on the boat for that, then...
Sure.
I was going to say, I imagine a lot of that is like IGN reviewers like had to get the review out. Everyone else had time to sit with it and think about all the allegations
I think
on Roiland afterwards.
That tends to be the thing with say like an IGN or a big publication versus a blog that publishes at its own leisure. Is that IGN? A guy at IGN is like, shit. It's like I'm playing the game, feels fun. I'm gonna write the review saying it feels fun. 9 out of 10. Moving on. Next thing I got to do.
24 hours to beat this game and write the review.
Yeah. But no, the meanest review, funnily enough, came from Eurogamer, which obviously they're based in the UK, and so like Roiland isn't so much of a foothold over here. Funnily enough, like Adult Swim is like
sure
people are aware of it, but like we didn't have like the Szechuan sauce or anything like that over here. It's just Szechuan sauce. But yeah, their review was basically it ends with that pace comes terminally online burnout and a performance of despair that borders on earnest, yet too often settles into edgelord cynicism and the same tedious punch-down humor as South Park. It's on this side of Rick and Morty that High on Life draws most frequently. It's ostentatiously phoned in mid-season episode full of gags about jacking off, quest givers who piss themselves, and cute critters who either end up in a mincer or reveal themselves to be total arseholes. Yeah, they were not a fan of High on Life.
But you know what? I can't disagree with that review.
No, neither can I, really.
Yeah.
But at the same time, brother was cooking there with that review,
Oh, yeah, no, he had some knives to sharpen, so fair enough on that. Yeah, no, like, again, and I think it's exactly what you said, Wyatt, which is that since in the wake of this, not only is this game hasn't been like forgotten in sort of like a way of just like, oh yeah, no, I forgot that game came out. There's been a little bit of that. This game is like being actively forgotten, just in regards to like we shouldn't really give this any mind space, which you know what?
Yeah.
Fair enough, I suppose. Microsoft, you made a bad bet. Epic, you made a bad bet. Squanch, though, they got talent. Keep them about. Just let them do something else,
Definitely.
you know? But maybe we might see what that is. Again, if I had played High on Knife, maybe I could have got a bit of a vision of what... I mean, I did watch some videos of it. It seemed interesting, but it also was hamstrung by being a DLC expansion to High on Life. So...
That's what I was wondering. Is it canon? Like, I don't know anything about it.
Yeah,
I
it's a
don't think I've
sequel.
seen
So
anything about
basically, it takes place like a couple of weeks or a couple of months after
it.
the
Oh, okay.
first game. So
Yeah, and it was released.
Okay, interesting.
It was released at the end of last year. It was like October of last year.
that's right.
Right.
Which is why it kind of had a bit of a horror vibe because it was leaning in on like Halloween. But
Yes, yeah.
makes sense. Anyways, so very excitingly, because this is a game that came out recently, we're going to be using GameIndustry.biz to do the charts. Now, unfortunately, they only do up to the top 10, but the first question I'll ask you both is, where do you think High on Life charted within this time? If it did.
I'm gonna.
How does this work? Do we both guess at the same time? I don't remember.
Kevin goes first, and then after...
okay.
I'm just gonna throw it out there and say 0. It did not.
You're going to
chart.
say it didn't chart, okay?
Yeah.
What about you?
I'm also going to say it didn't chart.
You're both right, it didn't chart, unfortunately.
Okay, yeah.
I feel like I've been the going with
Conditioned
it did not
to this.
Yeah, it did not chart has been the answer so far on all of the bullet
Game
time
Pass games.
Game Pass games.
And it's because of the fact that, like, well, yeah, no one's going to buy it physically. I'm just going to get it on Game Pass. So, like, what's
Yeah.
the point?
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like I saw it had a decent number of reviews on Steam at some point, so maybe later. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it came to Steam a little bit later, but
Is that what? Yeah, I think so.
either way, we got 10 to guess, starting with number 1 this week. And again, as a reminder, this is the week of December 13th, 2022, Christmas 2022. A non-mover from last month is a FPS game.
What month is this again?
December 2022.
Oh, okay. Oof. An FPS game, and this is in first place in
Yeah.
2022. I'm gonna go with EA Battlefield's Madden 2022. Modern Warfare.
I mean, you kind of went for a couple of different games there, so I don't know about that. But eventually, yeah, I mean, it is a Call of Duty game, but which
Okay.
one? Which is made by EA, by the way. It's made by Activision.
Yeah.
Blizzard. Yeah. Wyatt, as well, if you want to try and intersect points, feel free. But
I assume that's Modern Warfare 2. I can't remember. I think it is.
it is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 from Activision Blizzard.
Okay.
Released in 2022.
Right.
Now, second this month, up from third place, is an RPG. Very popular one.
Very popular RPG. December 2022. It's a
JRPG,
riser-
I'll say. As well, so-
JRPG. Okay, it's a riser.
Mhm.
Okay. And I'm assuming if you give the publisher away, it would give the answer away.
If I gave you the console as well, or even the developer, would probably give it away. But
Okay.
I'll say that, yeah, it's a very popular JRPG series, and it's always been massively popular. So
Oh fuck! What's the name of it? I have it on the tip of my tongue too. Is it the is it Xenogears or Xenosaga?
it is not Xenogears
No.
or Xenosaga or Xenoblade.
I think I'm way off, but I was going to guess Final Fantasy Crisis Core.
It's not Final Fantasy Crisis Core, no.
Okay, yeah. I assume that's not the realm of RPG.
No, when we talk we're talking JRPG as and it came from
You're
Japan,
like more
but
classic.
way bigger
Okay,
than
okay,
those. Maybe not quite as classic as Final Fantasy. It was a series that was created in the 90s, but has existed since.
And then I was thinking Octopath, but there's only two
No,
of those.
it's not Octopus
And I
Traveler.
also don't know if that came out then.
Is it Persona 4 Golden?
It is not Persona 4 Golden, no. I'll give you a clue as well.
Okay.
There's 2 of them.
Total.
As in this release, there's 2 of them.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. I just don't know which one it is. Oh, damn. Well, it's Pokemon.
Yeah,
right?
it is Pokemon, but which ones? I'll give you a clue. It's the most recent ones.
This is only like a year ago.
Yeah. These are the most recent pokes as well, so...
I just literally don't remember what.
So Pokemon Vat of Acid versus Pokemon Pickle Rick.
Yeah.
It's
I'll
not
give you
Sun
clue-
and Moon.
No, it's not Sun and Moon, they're colors.
It's not.
Yeah, I'm out.
All right.
I forget.
It is Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet for the Nintendo
There we go.
Switch.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Nintendo and Game Freak. Now, 3rd place this month, down from 2nd place, is a Sony PlayStation exclusive.
This is in December of 2022. It's a faller. It's fallen down a rank. This has to be. It's PlayStation exclusive,
Yes.
so that limits it to like one of 3 games.
Yeah, one of 4 franchises that they make.
Yeah.
It's not Spooderman. It's not. God of War was last year. Was it?
Was it?
Or was it?
I will give you this. It is a God of War game, but which one?
Oh, Ragnarok.
It is God of War Ragnarok from Sony
Okay,
Santa Monica.
I thought
They're big.
I couldn't remember when
I think
God of War
Horizon-
Ragnarok happened.
I think Horizon was their big exclusive last year. I think that was their big one.
Now, Spider-Man was last year, and then in
Spider-Man
2022,
was
it
last year.
was Horizon because it was competing with
Elden Ring.
And then God of War
right,
at the
okay.
end of the year.
Yeah, so the first Horizon went up against Elden Ring, or the second Horizon went against Elden Ring. The first Horizon went against Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
I was thinking. I remembered that thing everyone talked about. I was thinking the second Horizon went against Tears of the Kingdom. So I got confused. But anyway,
No, they've been fucked over on release twice.
yeah.
Now, get your answers plugged in. Get ready. Here we go. At number 4, up from 5th, sports game.
Madden 2023.
It is Madden NFL 2023 from Electronic Arts. At number 4. Now get ready to do it again, because at number 5, up from 6, is another sports game.
NBA.
Ooh, it is not NBA,
Damn.
but it is a ball sport.
It is a ball sport, so
is a
that
sport.
means it's sport with balls. Means it's not hockey. That means it is FIFA 2023.
It is FIFA 2023 from Electronic Arts, and I believe this is the last named FIFA game. Because
Yeah, I was
From
gonna say
named FIFA game,
It doesn't exist anymore, right? It's,
no.
I forget
So
what
from
it's
last
called
year, it's become EAFC 24. Or EA Sports FC, I think. It's
now.
stupid.
Yeah, unfortunate. Much worse name. Yeah, that's a bummer.
Here's an exciting one though. So number 6, down from 4th place from last month, is a adventure game from Sega.
6 adventure game from Sega. That would be. Is it Yakuza Like a Dragon?
It is not Like a Dragon.
Is it Lost Judgment? Yakuza.
It is not Lost Judgment. I will say why. I feel like you should be tuned on this considering Coyote Time. Let that be the clue. It might be something that could be on
Okay.
Coyote Time. Made by Sega.
Oh. Is it.
That made my brain go blank.
I've wiped your hard drive. Sorry.
I can't. I don't know what the subtitle is. It's the Sonic game. That's Breath of the Wild. pilled.
It is the Sonic game that's fair for the world. Wyatt, do you remember the subtitle?
Sonic Frontiers.
It is Sonic Frontiers from Sonic Team and Sega.
No, for some reason I was still in my. I was trying to think of another Yakuza spin-off game.
Is it the man who erased his name? No. Now.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Now, number 7, up from 11th place, one of the biggest games of 2022.
Elden Ring.
It is Elden Ring from Bandai Namco and From Software. Now, here's an exciting one. Number 8, new this month, is another EA game, but it's not really a sports game. It's not
really
an FPS either.
Not really a sports game, or not
really a sports game. There are sports elements. It could fall under the classification of sports. I wouldn't call it a sport personally, and it's not an FPS game.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say Jedi Survivor.
Oh, it is not Jedi Survivor, unfortunately.
Okay, yeah, that's not remotely a sports game.
Forza Horizon.
It's not. Forza Horizon is Microsoft. You're on the right track though that it is cars.
Oh.
Need for Speed Unbound, is that what it was called?
Number 8 this week, it is Need for Speed Unbound from Electronic Arts.
Okay, cool.
And
Okay, I wasn't sure.
Criterion Games. Good job.
That was kind of a cool game.
Good pull.
It was a fun game, honestly.
Yeah, no, I really liked it. Again, we were talking about Hi-Fi Rush earlier, and this did a similar thing where, well, no, this game was even weirder because it was all the characters were cell-shaded, but all the cars were like realistically rendered. So it was like Roger Rabbit was driving the car. It was very odd.
Yeah, it was a cool look. Yeah.
At number 9, up from 13th place is a game that has been in the chart since 2014.
GTA 5.
It is not Grand Theft Auto 5, unfortunately.
Oof. What else would it be other than Mario Kart 8?
It is Mario Kart 8 from Nintendo. Has never left the charts. It changed consoles and never left the charts.
Wow.
And again, it's Christmas time, so people are probably buying it in bulk.
Mario Kart 8 for Christmas. Yeah.
For the Switches. Now, number 10, funny enough, Wyatt, when we were trying to guess RPGs earlier, you actually called this game out.
Crisis Core?
It is Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion from Square
I wasn't sure
Enix.
what year that came out, honestly, but...
Right at the end of 2022, apparently. But
Crisis Core sounds like a game that came out in 2001.
It was
I think because it was.
Yeah, it was a game that came out in
Something
05,
like
actually, because it was a PSP game, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Got it.
So it's a remake.
Yeah, it is a
That's where
remake.
Gungaga's from.
Man, I am surprised you were able to retain that it was Crisis Core, a game that like I totally forgot even existed.
Crisis Core.
Yeah.
So you play as Zach.
Yeah, you play as
Yeah.
Zach Braff from Scrubs.
Zach Braff. Yeah.
and Garden State. Speaking
Garden
of which,
State mostly known for its soundtrack.
yeah, that's true because it has a bunch of like indie bands in it.
And a
right?
bunch
Like,
of huge number of indie bands in it that got kind of huge off of Garden State.
The film's, from what I understand, the film's kind of annoying though, right? Because it's also like it's
Yeah,
just full of characters who are just sort of like spoiled kids.
It's that navel gazy like indie type film that is just like
Duffer
very-
Brothers
it was very
style,
twee.
where you're just like, you just want to say, you just want a character to just go up to them and say, please shut the fuck up.
You want Charles
Isn't
Bronson?
that like isn't that like an early Manic Pixie Dream Girl movie too, right?
Yeah, because Keira,
Am I
it's
wrong?
it's Keira Knightley's the love interest in that.
Yes. So yeah, we can go trace the line from that to
Zooey
like,
Deschanel.
shit's like, yeah, Zoe Deschanel in 300 Days of Summer.
Oh yeah. By the way, please look forward. We will be having Zoe Deschanel and Joseph Gordon-Levitt on the next episode of Bullet Time to talk Beyond Good and Evil 2. Any day now. I don't even know if it's an FPS game, but any day now. God. Wyatt, thank you very much for coming on to talk High on Life. Again, a bit of an awkward episode, but I think we managed to get through the sort of the mire of this game pretty well. And again, you added some interesting points of its kind of place within the canon of comedy games, which I thought was quite interesting. So hey, while you're here, feel free to plug anything you want. What would you like people to have a look at?
Presumably by the time this episode goes out, we'll have a new video, so that's fun.
Nice.
But yeah, my channel, WyattJoseph, also on Coyote Time. Yeah, that's about it. Thanks for having me.
No, glad to have you. And Kevin, thank you very much for coming back for another.
Thank you for having me.
Another Game Pass Gasu. Is there anything you'd like people to have a look at?
Yeah, sure. Go over on any podcast platform and take a listen to Pixel Lit. We've done a bunch of good stuff. Most recently, as of recording this episode, we wrapped up recording a coverage of Sacred and Terrible Air, the book written by Robert Kurvitz of Disco Elysium fame. So go ahead and check that out. We also have James has been on a bunch of episodes. So hey, we got stuff for everybody over there on the Pixelit podcast.
You need to get Wyatt on at some point.
We sure do. Wyatt, do you like reading books?
I do. I learned how to read last year.
Okay, good. so you got a lot of catching up to do.
Got a lot of catching up to do.
I'm a quick learner. Yeah.
Pick a book or a series that begins with A, because at least then that lines up
exactly
with where you're at, I guess.
Yeah.
No, I started honestly reading again as an adult like a year or two ago. Like, I had the drop off that, a lot of Gen Z has because TikTok rattled my brain. But now I'm cured, so now I can read again.
Hi, folks. I've been James. You can follow me on Twitter over at HotCyder, HOTCYDR. If you like the show, please leave us a review. If you really liked it and would like to support more episodes, you can do so over at Patreon, over at HotCyder as well. What's going to be the funny keep blasting thing that we're going to say for the end of this episode? I mean, I feel like we
squanching.
There we go. Keep squanch. I was almost going to say that we shouldn't say anything for this episode, but then I've already done that on the Punisher episode that we can't, give him a keep blasting because we didn't agree with what he did. But you know what? I'm going to stay with keep squanching on this. First, he's squanching.
I'm gonna hit stop.
This podcast has been made possible by Dylan Robinson, Eric Hamilton Schneider, Jesse Garasha, Kevin from Pixellit, Mouse, Twyla27, Valerie B, VG, and the Hot Cider support tier. If you'd like to help with the production of episodes and gain access to extra content, consider supporting over at patreon.com/hotcider. That's HOTCYDER. A special thanks to Max Coburn for the Bullet Time theme tune.